Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. All right, here we go again. I'm going to start something off for your Sunday that's actually kind of funny, but it kind of goes into what I'm going to talk about. Circular logic. Literally. Okay. Remember, a month ago or whatever, where we had the German foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, come out and say that we're at war with Russia, and everybody was like, really? We didn't know that? The Russian government, everybody, remember that one? Well, Miss Rocket Scientist here came out and had another great gaffe. I mean, she's making Biden look a little smarter. That's next to impossible. Her quote over the weekend that Putin must do a complete 360-degree turn in what he's doing. Think about that for a second. You start here, you go 360 degrees, and you're right back here again. So in other words, Putin needs to continue doing exactly what he's doing, according to this brain-dead liberal. Yeah. Okay, she needs a new lesson in geometry. I'm sorry, just silly. But circular logic, that's kind of what I want to talk about this morning, and how it affects us as preppers. And y'all know me. Can't think past the tip of the nose stuff is something that just frustrates the living crap out of me, and I call it out all the time. How many of you have heard about alternative intelligence, okay, AI? Oh, robots will do everything. You get the stories like Mrs. P was talking about, doctors 4,000 miles away performing surgery, or we're not going to need this, we're not going to need that because, robots can do it. And we've seen a lot of robotics already, if you will, in society. I mean, go back to building cars. It used to be, a bunch of guys on the assembly line putting a car together. Now it's a few guys punching buttons so robots can put the car together. And what does that do? It takes away jobs. But this is what the global elite want the future to be. Okay? AI. Robots will do everything. Now, there's a couple of problems with this that, of course, tip of the nose, they can't think about. Let's start with the aforementioned medical, all right? Great. Soon we won't even need doctors. We can just go to the hospital and a robot will perform surgery on us, or a robot will scan our body and say, you need this antibiotic or, that medicine or whatever it is, you've got whatever. Okay, you need to wear a mask. The problem that you get there is, at that point, advances in medical technology flatline, because the robots don't have that forward-thinking capability. And I don't care what they say, they're not going to be able to. A machine can only do what it is programmed to do, right? And you can't program something to think, as much as they like to say, oh, yes, it can. No, it can't. It can reference information and process that information, but it can't create, right? It can't come up with a new way of doing something. So you're not going to get a Jonas Salk or anything like that, to come up and create something, a Louis Pasteur, whatever. It'll never happen. So that means medical technology, scientific technology, flatlines. We never get any better than we are now, which goes back to like the stupidity that you had in the 1920s, where they're like, we're closing the U.S. Patent Office because there isn't anything left to be invented. Yeah, well, okay. See how well that worked, okay? Look at life in the 1920s, look at life in the 2020s, and tell me if there's anything new that you're using in your life. But this is where the problem comes in for us, all right? Let's just say that Klaus Schwab and all these globalists around the world get their ideas implemented and AI takes over, okay? Everybody has, everything is now run by machines. And like Klaus says, nobody will have to work anymore. Life will just be perfect. Except here's the problem, okay? If nobody has to work anymore, how do you earn money to pay for the services or the product that that robot is making. Okay? Again, let's just go to cars. Cars will be completely made by robots. Great. I don't have a job. I can't afford a car. Hence, I don't buy a car. So the cars that the robots are making are useless. Okay? I'm just using car for example. I know they're trying to get rid of cars. You could put this into anything. Okay? So then what happens? Well, then you have the issue of, well, the company that makes the robots, or the company that makes the cars, goes out of business because nobody's buying their cars. So now the company that makes the robots goes out of business because the company that made the cars doesn't need the robots. It's circular logic. It doesn't make sense. The thing is, the skills that we need to have, you and I don't need to know how to build a car. Okay. Sure, there's some people out there that can, take TV shows or whatever it is, they'll take a junk car and turn it into a new car by putting all new pieces in. Okay, they know how to build a car. The majority of us may need to know the basics of how to fix a car. And certainly you're not fixing one now, because unless you've got tens of thousands of dollars worth of computer equipment, you're not going to be able to do it. So, you're looking at old vehicles. Somebody asked me on a live stream a week ago, was it worth having an old vehicle? Absolutely is. And I'm still looking for one myself, trying to see if I can find one that is old and at least in decent shape and not rotting out. I mean, you're looking for 50-year-old vehicles. I mean, I'm not going to buy a 57 Chevy or something like that. Not that it would work. I'm just not spending $60,000 on a old car. But so then you get into the other issue. What about the real jobs? Okay, not the ones that are the computery fun stuff. That we've got to get a job in IT because in 18 months you'll be behind the curve in skills. But what about the real jobs? Okay, could a robot build a house? Yeah, it's going to be one of these styrofoam screwy things or whatever it is. But is a robot going to go nail studs together, put tongue and groove pine in? No, because it can't do that kind. It could do that kind of detailed work, but what are you talking about? A $500,000 machine to build a $20,000 garage? Not likely. Okay. So then you look at, I don't know. Let's use plumbing for example. Okay. You think of the world right now, okay? And if somebody came to your door and said, Mrs. Jones, you have two choices right now, one of which you have to get rid of. Do you want to get rid of the internet in your house, or do you want to get rid of the indoor plumbing in your house? Which would you get rid of? I take a bet that 99% of us would get rid of the internet. Okay, there's probably a couple of millennials who are like, oh my God, I can't live without my phone. Fine, having fun, go out, in the middle of January and take a dump. Enjoy yourself. Okay. I like indoor plumbing. I like having water come out of the faucet. I like being able to take a shower or flush a toilet. I'm not as concerned about watching TikTok videos. Not important to me. Could we live without it? Yeah, most of us did for half of our lives. Did it make life easier in some respects? Yes. Did it make life more difficult in some respects? Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I certainly didn't have my phone ringing 4 times a day going, with some guy with some Indian accent going, hi, my name's Jim, and your insurance is about to run out, or I'm from Social Security, or your Microsoft account's been hacked, right? Problems that we have with that, first world problems, right? So this is the thing. As much as they want to move us to this high-tech society, AI, people won't have to work. If people don't have to work, nothing gets done. Nobody eats. Sure, The robots can go out and plant all the tomato seeds and harvest all the tomatoes. But if you don't have a job because your job was removed by a robot, you can't afford to buy the tomatoes, right? And then everybody says, but government says they're going to provide it all. Now remember this, you'll own nothing and be happy. Didn't mean you're not paying for it. It's you'll own nothing and be happy. You will still be allowed to rent whatever you want from the government. But if you have no income, you can't do it. So what does that eventually do? That eventually puts the governments out of business because they don't have any income to pay for this either. And the next thing you know, we're back to living in caves with sticks and stones.